So without any further delay, I would like to jump into the overview of knowledge bases. We'll go ahead and cover what this is, and then we'll talk about in detail how to set up knowledge base. So the workflow would be very similar in all our CAM systems, whether you're working in RhinoCAM, VisualCAD CAM, and all of our products like VisualCAM for SolidWorks, as well as AlibreCAM as well. So what I have here is a part that's already programmed in RhinoCAM. So as you can see, we have created several different machining operations. So we have operations like facing, drilling, pocketing, engraving. So typically, this could be your workflow of how you'd program your operations. Now, what is a knowledge base? A knowledge base is basically taking all of these operations that you programmed and you want to save it or be able to use it like on other files. So consider that something being similar to like a template, but it offers features and functionalities more than what a template can do. So the knowledge base saves your workflow of operations, the way you have these operations programmed. It has information about your parameters like the tool, feeds and speeds, your clearance, all of your cutting parameters that you've defined in each and every operation, all of those will be saved to the knowledge base, including your cut levels, your entry and exit, any of the parameters that you specify. So knowledge base can have all of the information, and on top of it, we'll also be able to save the selection rules to select the geometries for machining, which we will cover that during the later part of this webinar. So a knowledge base is basically your operation workflow, which can be saved into like a template. Like I said, it offers more than features of what a template does. So your entire workflow of operations, which you could then you reuse them on similar type of parts or family of parts that you'd be programming, so which eliminates the need for you to having to go back and recreate each and every operation in the same workflow on similar parts. So this helps you speed up your programming, make your programming much more efficient, reduce your programming time, so help you and streamline your workflow process to eliminate any errors as well. Now, the knowledge bases are saved in a format called VKB, which is what we use for knowledge bases. So how do we go about creating a knowledge base? So the simplest way is you go into your program tab in your machining browser, and then you select the group for knowledge base, and you choose Save to KB. So when you select Save to KB, this will point you to, by default, it'll take you to this folder called Data, and you can save your knowledge base into this folder, or you could pick any folder of your choice. You could be sharing this with your coworkers, and you can put it on like a shared drive or a network drive where you can make available to other users as well. So you can pick a folder, and as you can see here, the file type is called knowledge base files, which is extension is .vkb. So selecting save will automatically save all of these operations into a knowledge base, so like a template. Now, once you have these knowledge bases saved, you can load them. We'll talk about how to load them. Now, there's other ways also how we can save the knowledge bases. So if you would like to just save an individual operation to a knowledge base, you just highlight the operation, right mouse button click on it, and select Save to Knowledge Base. So this is only going to save this particular operation to a knowledge base. You could also select multiple operations by holding the Shift or the Control key to select 2 or more operations, right mouse button click on it, and then choose Save to Knowledge Base. And then you can choose a folder of your choice to save the operation to a knowledge base. Now, one of a good use case here is if you're working with a bunch of holes where you need to do some drilling and tapping operations, you can group those operations into a machining operation set, and then select the machining operation set, right click and pick Save to Knowledge Base. So if you have pattern of holes that you need to like drill and tap on multiple different files, those operations, the workflow of operations, it could be like a spot drill, and a tap, you can save that workflow into a knowledge base. So now we just talked about how we saved operations to a knowledge base. Now let's take a look at how we can load a knowledge base in here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in another file. And as you can tell, this has a family of parts very similar to the parts we looked at earlier. But now we would like to apply the same workflow of operations. Now, rather than having to go through the steps of programming the operations by selecting the two-axis methods or whole machining methods, I'm going to go into Knowledge Bases on the Program tab and select Load Knowledge Base. And I'll pick the knowledge base that we just created and select Open. So you'll now notice that it automatically brought in the operations in the workflow that you had programmed. So you see that it has the same tool that you use for it, your feeds and speeds parameters. When you double click to edit the operation, you'll notice that it has the exact same parameters that you used when you programmed on the initial part. So this basically brings in your entire parameters, including your tool, feeds and speeds, your cut parameters, cut levels, entry and exit, all of your parameters are loaded. And also the workflow, the sequence, the way you had these operations grouped, you had some drilling operations for the holes that you wanted to program, your pocket operations, your engraving operations, and finally we had some profile operations. So selecting knowledge base and load knowledge base loads all of the operations that were saved in the knowledge base into your machining browser. Now, if you would like to just load only a certain set of operations to a knowledge base, we could do that as well. So let me go back and just clear these operations out. We could go into the machining objects browser. I'm just going to put the machining objects browser over to the side in here. We'll go to the tab called KBases, and I'm going to go ahead and click on Load Knowledge Base. And I'll bring in the same knowledge base we just loaded earlier. So you'll now notice that it displays all of the operations from the knowledge base. Now I can selectively choose an operation to load. So that would be like a simple drag and drop. So I can select this operation, just do a simple drag and drop, and the operation is loaded. So you could choose if you only wanted to do the facing and do the pocket operation, you could do a simple drag and drop to selectively choose the operations that you'd like to program. Now these operations are still in the knowledge base. They're not being deleted or removed. It just allows you to drag and drop. If you would like to have two engraving operations programmed in here, you can keep dragging it multiple times. So selectively dragging and dropping operations is also one of the ways how we can load a knowledge base. And this can be done through the KBases tab or the Knowledge Bases tab located on your machining objects browser. Folks, I hope everybody is able to hear us. I just got a note from one of my colleagues saying that one of our attendees is unable to hear us, so I hope you're able to hear us. If you are still having difficulties, please raise your hand or let us know in the questions panel, and we'll try to see what we can do to help you out. So we talked about saving to knowledge base, loading knowledge base, and knowledge bases are used in a format called .vkb. They're saved locally on your computer, or you could be saving them on your shared drive or a network drive on your computer. Now, there's one thing I would also like to point out in knowledge base is the tools that you create. So if you have certain tools in your library, you can load a knowledge base in the Tools tab by selecting Load Library, and this will only load the tools and it'll automatically filter out or stripe out the operation. So you don't have to exclusively save the tools to a library. If you bring in a knowledge base, it'll automatically load the tools from the knowledge base as your library of tools. So if you do not have any tool library created or saved, but you saved your operations to a knowledge base, you can also load a tool library from a knowledge base. So it'll only load the tools when you'll open a knowledge base from the Tools tab and not load the operations into the Tools tab. So just to summarize here, the mechanics of knowledge base, we talked about how to save operations to a knowledge base. And we also talked about how to load knowledge bases in different ways. One is from the Program tab, And also we looked at how to load knowledge base in the KBases tab and drag and drop operations. We also talked about how to save an individual operation to a knowledge base as well.